think that there's a lot of anguish and pain and desperation to tell him how she feels, but she can't, because then she will be in a lot of trouble, and then her reveal is, yeah, she'll be found out, the disguise. But yeah, it's a lot of heart-wrenching moment, like her heart's going a million times a second, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like when you fancy someone and you sort of want them to know by a bit of flirting, but then you don't want to do too much, but in case it's not, in case she doesn't like him back, or he doesn't like her back. That's what I mean. Yeah, she wants to tell him, but she can't. Yeah, those moments. I think she does it by mistake. I think at times, so she's sort of trying to gather herself together, and she's quite clever at quickly diverting, and quickly explaining. Because he sort of looks and goes, what was that? And then she just sort of is able to get herself out of that very quickly by using great language and clever language. Yeah, clever. She's a clever girl, yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as Cesario, she's very clever at convincing everyone she is the boy, the man. But there are moments, especially in this scene, where she's very close to saying, she almost says it, she wants to, but then she diverts very cleverly. And then in also the other scenes with Olivia, in the bit where she says she pities her, an enemy, she knows that, yeah, she's given a lot of hints. She is her enemy at the end of the day, because he likes Olivia and I like him. And yeah, so there's jealousy there as well. And the bit where, let me see your face, there's also that as a bit sort of standoff, like she's standing up to her. She's got that, so, and I think that's why Olivia starts falling for her, because she is this strong character that has never maybe embraced her in that way, like in sort of direct in that way. As opposed to other men are all constantly giving her love letters and, and especially him, just lots of loving words, and whereas she's more direct.
Orsino thinks he understands a lot about women in love, but I've always gotten the impression from the structure of the play and from the way he speaks that he's actually a very lonely and isolated person. And that a lot of what he thinks he understands about women in love are tied to what he's experiencing in that moment. I think back to in middle school or high school when I'd like a girl who maybe liked me for a week and then didn't. And so I thought all women were flighty, right? I still am in love with you, but this is the one experience I have, and I'm still in love and you're not. And so now that's how I understand the world. I think it's very easy to kind of villainize his views about love, which I don't think is helpful or Shakespeare's intention. I think it's more to show. I think there's something almost appealing in the innocent ignorance of this kind of person, because they are kind of like a child, and I think it's important, because we want to be happy with where Viola ends up at the end of the show. So I think it's important to kind of look at him in that way and through that perspective of how can we get on his side, even though some of the things he's saying, we, particularly as a modern audience, can be like, well, that is offensive stupidity. One thing which I think is kind of actually a good example of what I'm talking about, the duality of things there. So where he says to Cesario that women are as roses, whose fair flower, being once displayed, doth fall that very hour. Which is saying that women are good for a very brief amount of time, and then they age and they're no longer as beautiful, right? On the surface, that's how we can interpret it. But it's also, he's saying that women are as roses, that there are these delicate, beautiful blossoms, and he's thinking of it in a poetic way, but his frame of context for it also brings in a darkness and a negativity, which I think is present with him, and not just with women. His first speech, if music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. So it goes from music be the food of love, beautiful, to I want the appetite of my love to to consume so much that it has to throw it all up, and to such an extent that it dies, and I no longer have that feeling anymore. With Cesario, Orsino has the kind of intimacy that he's never really experienced before. The kind of honest, grounded friendship. Cesario confronts him about what he says about women, and he listens, and he stops talking. He goes from 8 to 14-line speeches to 6-word questions, asking to hear more about Cesario's sister. You know, his first scene in the show is almost an Orsino monologue, and other characters. Valentine reports on Olivia, but he doesn't have anything in there that's not a big chunk of text. And here we go. By the end of this scene, he's barely speaking, and just listening to this person that he thinks is a boy, who's moved him and entered his trust and mind and heart in a way that is new and transformative. So Orsino, in our production, has a very clear statement made the moment that you see him because of these clothes. From this incredible jacket to these white snakeskin boots, tight white jeans, and the pinky ring. I don't like to wear watches. I don't like to wear jewelry at all. So I felt really, really uncomfortable for like the first 2 weeks that we had this in the rehearsal room. And now it's like, there was one time where I didn't put it back on after a quick change, and the scene was horrific. And I didn't realize why until I was like, it's in my pocket. My pinky ring is in my pocket. Because it's for some reason, Orsino is the pinky ring to me now. And it's interesting because in starting in the rehearsal process, I think he was impulsive and kind of childlike, but he was a bit more reasonable and a bit more grounded. And then as soon as I was wearing this, there was a whole different energy in the room and on me, which is cool because you get to do all this work and then have another facet that it gets filtered through, and then that eventually comes back and affects what's going on inside me as an actor, and then what's happening in the scene. So it's an incredible process, and this has been a particularly powerful effect with this costume. Cesario,
In this production, obviously very modern, very trendy. He's quite trendy. Once I get dunked into the storm at the beginning, my hair's in a gel, so that's my first sort of moment of becoming the man, becoming the boy, because I slick it all back and tie it all back, clip it all, and just I look like a tomboy. I look, yeah, like a proper little boy. And then the moment she comes out on the stage, I feel I need to get the audience on my side. It's like, come on, guys. I sort of look at them as in, help me out and be on my side during this. And then I sort of pretend that I have a man's parts down below and suddenly become heavy. And it's all about the heavy and getting the swing. And thankfully, George Lamb, who was the choreographer, she helped me out with Bill on that bit. We just had like 20 minutes in the rehearsal room one day of just swaggering about and feeling heavy and grounded. Because as a person, I'm quite sort of, like flighty. So you just have to keep tuning into it throughout the play. Gosh, yes, keep the persona up of this. So suddenly you just have to switch into it.